So another person has set themselves on fire in the United States of America, and I thought it'd be interesting to look at why and examine this new trend. And I think it may well happen again. It seems like just the frequency in a short space of time seems to indicate an emergent pattern. And I wanted to look at this. So this is the statement in this Guardian article from the chief of the New York police where this happened. It happened outside of the courtroom where Donald Trump is being tried, but it doesn't necessarily seem related to the actual trial itself. It's just where he could get the most publicity.
Right, so just to think, because obviously when this happened, I saw people going, is this a Trump supporter who set himself on fire to protest Donald Trump? And
it doesn't seem to be related to the trial in any way. It's just that that's where all of the news crews were. It's where it's most likely to get traction. And I suppose he was right in that sense because we're covering it right now.
But hang on, just to think, that's crazy, isn't it? It's like, no. Look, setting yourself on fire is not sufficient to impact the news cycle. I have to set myself on fire somewhere politically relevant for that to become an important statement.
Well,
to get
black man has been shot. Everyone's interested. Yeah. Black man was shot by other black man. No one's interested.
Yeah,
I think that this is part of the reason that people are resorting to these methods is that they feel politically disenfranchised, and therefore they have to go to these methods.
Again, just going back to the 90s for a second, if someone sets themselves on fire, it doesn't matter where they did it. Like that's news, you know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, apparently it's not news until.
How does this further my political agenda?
How does this tie in with Trump? God.
Well, it does tie in with Trump a little bit, at least the reason that he did it. But
sorry for the interruption. I'm Father Calvin Robinson, and you can watch my Common Sense Crusade at 3 p.m. on Thursdays, only on lotuseaters.com, where you can sign up for as little as £5 per month. Deus Vult.
This chief of New York police said, at 1:30 this afternoon, this is on Friday, we observed a male walk into the center of the park. He starts shuffling around his clothes. He opened up a book bag, takes numerous pieces of paper. He throws the pamphlets through the park, and then he pulls out a canister, puts some kind of liquid on himself, and he lights himself on fire. So that liquid was, I think, fuel of some kind for the fire, right? And this is the guy. There he is. This is a sign, obviously, before he set himself on fire. Trump is with Biden, and they're about to fascist coup us. Which I don't think anyone's really arguing.
I'm usually skeptical of the mentally ill diagnosis.
Yeah.
To people who do such things, but I don't know about that.
I'm wondering if this mental illness dovetailing with 24-hour news cycle and social media, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to be looking at his reasons for it, but I thought it'd be interesting first to look at some examples of self-immolation, just to kind of understand, not actually showing them on the screen, by the way. I'm not going to show you any footage because I don't want to freak anyone out. But I think the quintessential example of this is this one, this Vietnamese Mahayana Buddhist monk who self-immolated on a busy Saigon street on the 11th of June, 1963. And this was to protest the persecution of Buddhists by the South Vietnamese government, which was headed by a devout Roman Catholic who coincidentally was killed by a CIA-backed coup that same year. So if he didn't do this, he would have been alive and it would have been fine. Just saying. But the sort of legacy of this image has followed on. Is obviously quite famous. I know that John F. Kennedy said, obviously before he was killed by that same organization that backed the coup. He said, no news picture in history has generated so much emotion around the world as this one. And obviously that's a pretty significant thing for a future president to say. And ironically enough, a lot of people's contact with it in this day and age is from the cover of Rage Against the Machine, their self-titled first album from '92, which is kind of ironic that so-called anti-capitalists commercialized the death of a religious man for their music, which made them lots of money. But
Rage Against the Machine's entire career has been this one strange, ironic decline.
Yes, well,
this album's an amazing album, but now they're charging $500 for a live show, and it's fight the power, bro. What?
Wasn't is it Tom Morello or one of the other ones was Harvard educated as well? They've had some of the best education. Well, clearly not good enough, but
no,
still,
they're
very rich.
Mm.
And they've always been commies. So it's just like,
Yes. But the other case is Aaron Bushnell. This is obviously from the 25th of February 2024, so it wasn't really that long ago. And he set himself on fire outside of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., chanting Free Palestine. And this has captured a lot of people's attention. He's already got himself a sizable Wikipedia entry, so that's what he gets for setting himself on fire. Most people will not get this in their life.
that's so sad.
So it's getting rewarded, basically, by all of this recognition. I mean, there are many prominent scientists that have contributed huge things to the world,
Yeah, but they have
not setting
Wikipedia
themselves on
entries
fire,
as well.
but not to this scale.
A lot
I
of them
think-
get deleted as well because there's not enough space.
But this, I just think this is really sad because I mean, like he's going to have parents.
Well, he had a family. It's
Like-
being driven mad by the media cycle because
Yeah,
the Israel-Palestine
and
conflict
he was a
is
as well.
yeah, the Israel-Palestine conflict shouldn't really be of concern to a citizen of the United States.
I mean, there's some Indian woman in America who was threatening to kill some elected officials, and so she's on trial at the moment. And it's like, what over Palestine? What this got nothing to do with
It's so strange to my mind that people care about this sort of thing because sure, the United States is at least supplying weapons to Israel, so it makes more sense there.
money.
But even this weekend, in central Swindon, there was a Free Palestine march through Swindon, as if Israel's going to be like, oh, hold the fort. People of Swindon have protested against us. It's just ridiculous. Who
We've lost
actually
Swindon,
cares?
BB.
Yes, so for the British. But anyway, back to this guy, the guy who set himself on fire on Friday, Max Azzarello. So after he set himself on fire, unsurprisingly, he died.
What do you mean dies just hours after? I want to die immediately if I set
Yeah,
myself on fire. That's
No,
awful.
he would have suffered for it.
He did suffer. I had the misfortune of watching the video of it, and he's on the floor, like writhing in pain.
Didn't the army guy? He got shot by security,
Mhm.
which that security guard hero. Like someone
Well,
burned
putting out of his misery. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's supposedly one of the most painful ways to die
I
as
can
well.
imagine.
Yeah, I certainly don't advocate for it.
No,
Do not set yourself on fire. It's going to be the easiest advice to listen to ever. But apparently, there's some information in this article about who he is and why he did what he did.
Yeah.
Apparently, his friends and his neighbors said the death of his mother 2 years ago made him increasingly unstable, and it's almost 2 years to the day of him setting himself on fire that he did that from when she died. And he also had a bout of pulmonary disease after his mother died, which I imagine, debilitated him, made him
Right.
lose a certain amount of hope. But he has got a master's degree, or did have, in city planning. And he got that in 2012. So he's not necessarily uneducated. It's not like he's
Yeah.
necessarily stupid.
But it's a strange
Mhm.
conspiracy theory. It's like I'm going to go to the trial of Trump as the Biden administration tries to jail their political opposition, and then say that Trump and Biden are going to coup us.
There
Is there
he
a
is.
4chan post? Like sincerely, I think that's actually a viral, stupid 4chan post.
Mhm.
But
It
they
is, yeah.
changed
I know the
faces.
one, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
God only knows. But like, it just sounds like
Mhm.
someone with mental health issues has spent too much time on the
Yeah,
internet.
well, the final thing he posted on social media was him saying he's going to start an effing revolution,
Right.
and the way he's sort of singing it to that one, the American song. I
Right.
don't know what it's called. All the Americans are going to be annoyed at me, but he's saying that and he's sort of twitching a little bit, and you can tell that there's something going on. You don't have to be a psychologist to know that there's mental illness there. There he is with he's got that sort of vacant look of someone who's,
But it's just
mentally
such a preposterous proposition.
of course, yeah.
No one thinks that Trump is with Biden. That's-
Mhm. Yeah, well, no one's arguing it, and I'm going to be sort of dismantling it. There he is
in bed
with
for
his
10
family,
years.
yeah, and he looks like a relatively normal guy, which is it's just a shame. There he is with Bill Clinton, which is not so normal. But anyway, he also was an organ donor. I was just going to throw this in. So
Both his kidneys.
this was after he died. There was an organ transplant. Apparently, his kidneys were healthy despite his external burns.
Right.
So his kidneys actually did save 2 people's lives. I'm not sure that was his intention.
No.
You know, I don't think he was thinking, I'm an organ donor, so I'm going to save people.
Sure.
But just thought I'd throw it in, just to be somewhat charitable to the guy.
I just feel bad for this guy.
Well, of course, yeah, I feel bad for him as well. He was clearly needing help. Yeah. So he also sued the Clinton Foundation in 2023. Sorry, I forgot what year it is. Apparently, these are the words. The defendant, which is Azzarello, said they knowingly conspired.
Was he sued by them?
He's suing them.
Right. So he's the plaintiff.
Yes. So he's saying they knowingly conspired, participated in, and benefited financially from a decade-long fraudulent scheme. Money was solicited internationally, laundered in support of the scheme via the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton Foundation, which was created for this purpose by President Bill Clinton and Doug Band in 2001. And he is arguing in this case that there has been significant financial, emotional, and psychological harm to himself. And unsurprisingly, this was dismissed by a judge a month later.
You see, he's not just suing the Clintons there. The number of people he's suing there, the famous names.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Bill and Hillary Clinton, the Chelsea Clinton Foundation, Mark Zuckerberg,
Sam Bankman-Fried,
Richard Branson, Mark Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Peter Thiel.
Yeah, he doesn't like Peter Thiel whatsoever.
Anthony Scaramucci.
Nicholas Sturgeon.
Is it?
What?
Is she in
Nicholas
there?
Sturgeon's in there.
Blimey.
What the hell,
Ross
man?
Perot there as well. Yeah. Blimey. Full laundry list of important people.
I'm not terribly surprised that the judge was like, get out.
Mm-hmm. So,
bizarre collection.
He also, prior to setting himself on fire, went on a string of offences. Here he is in a mugshot looking very sane. So apparently he threw a glass of wine at an autographed photo of President Bill Clinton, which is kind of based, in a lobby of the Casa Monica Hotel in his hometown of St. Augustine in Florida. And then 2 days later, he was back at the hotel where he was reported to police for standing outside, stripping his clothes off and yelling at customers.
Yeah.
And when the police arrived, they noticed he was wearing nothing but his underwear, standing on the sidewalk, shouting in a speaker, blasting music and yelling, which, of course, is not the actions of a sane person. And then again, on the 24th of August, he was arrested again for graffitiing the property and rifling through a woman's belongings in a flatbed truck, which is not exactly sane.
Right.
But there he is in his picture, looking increasingly crazy.
God, he's a Florida man as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He is. There he is. There's his more Florida man screenshot there. And there he is with Bill Clinton. There's his manifesto as well, which...
the true history of the world. Thank God, finally.
Yeah, I mean...
Story never told.
All of these lies. So he's also been photographed here with a Bernie Sanders shirt with Eat the Rich with Newt Gingrich. Interesting. I don't know why he agreed to have that photograph with that T-shirt on, but
yeah,
there we go.
Just what? Okay.
I mean, Newt probably thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
He's wearing it ironically, maybe, but he has a Substack. Here he is. He's written.
I know people want to get people to read Substacks, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah, this promotion is.
He's actually got a thing. I've set myself on fire outside the Trump trial.
Yeah, I'll be looking at that in a second. But he says, I did 1,500 hours of research since Peter Thiel started a bank run in March, and now I know the secrets of the world. Cheers to America's first military coup and its second revolution. So it is worth mentioning as well, one of his Substacks, he's complaining about liquid death, sparkling water, which obviously is just some sort of edgy marketing department thing. So he says, want to stare the doomsday cult in the face? Just head down to your local convenience store and check out the water selection. There you'll likely see these cans. And he's arguing, this is water. This water is liquid life. The fact that water is something we all need to survive has been bottled up and sold to us at unbelievable markups is evidence of kleptocracy. The fact we now have water called liquid death shows just how far the criminal disinformation campaign has come as they convince the public to pay money for water that evokes hopelessness and death.
Do you want to know what I think is interesting about this? Is I'm old enough to remember when people started buying bottled water. People didn't used to buy bottled water. People used to buy Coke or Pepsi or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was health nuts who were like, hang on a second, this stuff's full of sugar and not good for you. Maybe we should just have, water, and people then, that became a big market. And so it was out of health concern. It was just like, it wasn't that they were like, right, now we're gonna make, because what came free out of the taps, right? It didn't make any sense to buy water, but then it was like, okay, but I want water to take around me because I want to be healthy. I don't want to drink sugar all day. It's like, okay, yeah, fair enough. That actually makes sense. What?
I'm just thinking of that lady with the monster can. This is like, clearly it's 666.
Oh god,
It's devil water.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing like a.
But is it even unbelievable markups? Like, it's not that expensive.
It's just
Anyway.
bougie water, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
just
it
a
is,
marketing department. You
Yeah.
have like
Yeah.
that. I can't remember what it's called. Is it Life Water, where it's just a branded water? And there's
No idea, but it's not.
It's nothing new. I don't think it's evil manifest that they're a marketing department selling silly water. But here is his manifesto, more or less. Oh,
Maybe later that.
I do it. Yep. So there we go. So here we are. I'm going to read a little bit from this.
Substack later.
Yeah. He sold me. My name is Max
You are
Azzarello. I'm an investigative researcher who has set himself on fire outside the Trump trial in Manhattan. This extreme act of protest is to draw attention to the urgent and important discovery. We're victims of a totalitarian con, and our government, along with many of our allies, is about to hit us with an apocalyptic fascist world coup. I don't think they're really going to
Getting Ted Kaczynski vibes from this guy.
It made sense.
Yes, and he says, this claim sounds like fantastical conspiracy theory, but they are not. They are proof of conspiracy. That doesn't quite make sense. If you investigate this mountain of research, you'll prove them too. If you learn a great deal about Ponzi schemes, you'll discover that our life is a lie. If you follow the story and the links below, you'll discover the rotten truth of post-truth America. You'll learn the scariest and stupidest story in world history. And you'll realize that we're in a desperate state of emergency that requires your action. Right. To my friends and family, witness and first responders, I deeply apologize for inflicting this pain upon you, but I assure you that it is a drop in the bucket compared to what our government intends to inflict. Because these words are true, this is an act of revolution. And I'm not entirely convinced. So this carries on to talk about Bitcoin and how it is a scheme for elites to steal money from the American people, which will crash the economy. The economic crash side of things, actually, I spoke to Dan about, and it doesn't really make any sense. So,
but also, I think he's just describing to them way more competency than they actually have.
Yes. So the global market cap for cryptocurrency is 3.4. Sorry, I can't even read. 2.43 trillion US dollars.
Yeah.
The money supply, the M2 money supply here.
God only knows how much that is.
20 trillion.
Yep, 20 trillion. So yes, it's not really enough to do that. It's also worth mentioning the companies that he's saying are sort of complicit in this. Here is Alphabet Inc., of course, known for owning Google. Yeah. They have 1.925 trillion market caps. So that's almost as much as all cryptocurrency. Yeah. And if you look at, the US debt, well, I believe that is, there we go, 34.5 trillion. Yeah. So he's got the scale of the problem here. If cryptocurrency disappeared overnight, it would be, it'd cause a recession. It would be a scandal. I don't think it would cause the world economy to crash. So,
I mean, whoever holds the US debt must understand that's never getting paid back.
Well,
they must understand that never getting that back.
They've got one of the world's most popular reserve currencies. So they can afford to have that much debt. So he's also got his, beliefs here. And there are some very silly things, like he's talking about culture trying to influence people. So I'm going to talk about two things that I know a lot about. The Beatles. He said, who scoffed at revolution of course, John Lennon, being known for being a bit of a commie, told us to fear the tax man. That's because the rate of tax was 95%. And that's why in the song Tax Man, it says that's one for me and 19 for me and one for you, from the perspective of the tax man. And Happiness is a Warm Gun was a song that was done ironically because they thought it was a weird title of a gun magazine in America.
Right.
And they just thought it was a weird turn of phrase. And so they wrote a song about it. It wasn't in favor of...
Yeah. So this guy's basically mental.
Yeah. And also he's talking about here Stanley Kubrick making Doctor Strangelove, which I actually talked about recently. He's not trying to make the notion of nuclear war more palatable. The whole reason he made it a sort of comedic film was because he was trying to adapt the thriller novel Red Alert by Peter George, and he realized when shooting it that the notion of mutually assured destruction was so absurd that he couldn't shoot a serious film. He had to kind of make it a comedy to make fun of the fact that everyone's lives are in the hands of these people that believe in, the only way we're going to stop nuclear war is by destroying the other side, which, he's trying to point out the absurd situation. But Kubrick was so paranoid about nuclear annihilation that he moved to rural England because he didn't think it would be a target, as well as the fact that he found Hollywood insufferable. So he's just not done his research. Obviously, he's mentally ill.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd do a bit of a deep dive here. So I suppose it seems like there's a multiple series of factors here that are contributing to this rise of people setting themselves on fire. Obviously, mental illness is the first one. I think you've got to be mentally ill to be willing to do it. But also, I think that people feel politically disenfranchised. I think that if they felt like they could have their voice heard, it's not unheard of that you get crackpot conspiracy theory style people in like town hall meetings and things like that. And normally that's as far as it goes. But I think that the way things are going with the centralization of politics, people are going to resort to desperate measures. But are there any other things that sort of come to mind with this?
I just think this guy is mad.
Mm-hmm. Callum?
Far too conspiracy oriented.
Speaking too much sense, really, actually. Can I read more? Can I subscribe to that Substack?
Well, fortunately, you can. But yes, I thought I'd have a look at this and break down why it happened, some of his arguments, because a lot of the time the media doesn't look at the manifestos. I'm looking at you, the trans shooter. Yes, I think that this is a trend that's going to continue, and it's kind of just a bit sad.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium contents on the site, such as Common Sense Crusade with Calvin Robinson. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.